welcome you, Drew Bradley with PupTaxi.
You got it. Thank you very much, guys. Oh, well, let me get your mic turned on. All right, there we go. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Drew Bradley. Thank you so much for having me here today. So, tell you guys a little bit about me. I just recently moved back to Springfield. I'm a native. Graduated from Missouri State University. Recently moved back, and we started a business called PupTaxi. So, PupTaxi is your first only dog service transportation. So you can kind of almost think of it like Uber, but just for dogs. So we service only dogs here in the Springfield area. And as we get started, our biggest thing, I like to tell everyone, is a dog owner. You know, the biggest reason why we started this company is we solve a problem. You know, we get busy with our lives, things come up, there's a lot of things that go on in our days. And I saw it even as myself that there is a problem that we could solve, and that was by providing a service for busy workers, people that have things that go on, where we could come there, pick up their dogs, take them to their vet's appointments, grooming appointments, anything that they have, and safely get them from where their home is back to their appointments and then back home. So we actually always stay open, so we're open 24/7. And the reason why this is because we do have emergency vet offices here. We have emergency clinics that kind of operate throughout all the hours of the day. But we just want to be accessible to anybody that might need our services. So, let me go back. So PupTaxi, why it really stands alone. So we're dog only. So we don't share any of our rides. All of our cars are set up where we will just transport just the dog. So the humans aren't allowed. And the reason why we kind of did that was to really just take the stress out for the humans, but for the pets as well. You know, as a dog trainer and training with dogs, they get anxious. Sometimes the pet owners, you know, just kind of allowing them to learn, you know, how to get in and out of the car, make it just really easy and stress-free for them. All of our rides are set up where they're climate controlled. We make sure that they're completely padded, safe. We're coming up with a new feature to make sure that they're harnessed there safely. So when we're actually riding, our car's still a little bit lower. So they're not sitting above the windows. If you have an accident, they're sitting more below the base of the car, so they're a little bit more safe as riding in the car too. So right now, currently, we are serving the Springfield market, but as we expand and as we start hiring new drivers and as we kind of really start to grow as a business, we're going to try to expand to obviously our Nixa, Republic, Marshfield, Rogersville, any of those surrounding areas, but really wanted to hit Springfield first, see how it's working, partner with as many businesses that we can here, see how it's working, and then that way we can kind of expand and grow, especially as we get more drivers. So these are kind of our setups that we have. So right now we have a 2018 Ford Focus that we have. But what I love about it is it's really low to the ground. Makes it really easy for the dogs to get in and out. We have a dog ramp for them. So if you have a dog that's, let's just say, has trouble getting out of the car, you know, again, as a dog trainer, it is very difficult sometimes. You don't have to pick them up. You know, our drivers won't have to force them in there. We train them on how to just, you know, allow them to comfortably get in the car. So when they get in there, they're not anxious either. And we do have our pack shuttle. So let's say we have a few grooming companies, or if you have 3 or 4 dogs you want them all go get groomed one day, we'll come pick them up. We have airport kennels, so that way we can just come pick them all up and then just do it all in one shot. You know, so that way you're not having to pay for just a single car and just have us come back and forth. We can just do it all in one shot. So vetted and certified. So all of our drivers have background checks. We will do any insurance, make sure that everybody's covered. The reason why we do this is we want anybody that does business with us to feel trusted. You know, you have to gain that trust. Our drivers, we want to make sure that they are, you know, certified. We'll actually go through a training process to teach them not just how to drive, but also how to handle and treat the dogs, you know, making sure that they're safe and comfortable throughout the whole process too. And again, fully insured. So we're insured not just for the drivers, but for the dogs as well. But even for us, as we get to an owner's house or a business, we drop them off at the vets. It covers us too. So anything that happens as we get outside of the car or with our drivers as well, we're completely covered. So this is kind of our rates. So I'm very transparent, and our biggest thing is we didn't want to have any of those hidden fees. You know, sometimes you see with Uber, you see this sometimes, but with us, we charge a base fee, a per mile, and then when it says per minute, that is just from the actual time of when we arrive at your house. So when we come to your house, well, that would be when you actually start getting charged. It's when we arrive there, when we take them to the vets, and then when they get back. So it's just that time in between that, and then everything else is on the driver. So if I live in Springfield, it's a 20-minute drive, you don't actually get charged to it right at your house. So that's kind of the Uber sense of it, of how it gets charged. And now there might be some add-ons. I just had one the other day. Waffles was 120 pounds. So if on our website, you can see on there, you'll have different add-ons for weight, sizes. If you want to have a little special treat, like the other day we did a pup cup day. If you want them to go afterwards and have a little treat, and we'll take them to go get a pup cup and do something fun after their vet appointments, we'll do that too. So this is what I believe is very important too, because for us, again, we do want to have premium care. We want to make sure that this is an experience, not just for the dogs, but for the owners too. So we will give everyone an opportunity to have that premium care, but if they want to have a premium experience, they want any kind of special treatment, we will make sure that we enhance that and make it as good as possible. And then the emergency tier of it is, we all know that if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you have an emergency, who are you calling? Exactly, Ghostbusters, because there is nobody right now that offers the service, besides yourself, but you can't call 911. There's not a pet transportation that's going to come, help you take your dog and get them somewhere to make sure that they're taken care of. Because again, I look at my dog as a child. So if my dog's hurt or injured, I want to make sure they get there fast, safe, and that they're taken care of. And that's really the biggest point for that too. So we are looking into starting some monthly membership plans for people that have reoccurring. I know a lot of people right now that take their pets to the groomers every month. You have vet appointments, maybe every couple of weeks, or not a couple of weeks, every couple of months. But trying to come up with membership plans, packages where you guys can come to us, say, hey, I need to have my dog at the groomers every month. I want to take them to the vet every 2 months. So then that way you can have a package. Just pay a flat fee, so that way you're not getting charged the taxi rate where you can charge per mile, per trip, per add-on. We'll just work with you. We'll come up with a package that works best for you and your dogs. And then these are some of the services and the businesses that we'll go to. So veterinary clinics, groomers and salons, daycares and boarding. And then we're starting to add on other services. So dog walks. You want me to come pick up your dog? We'll take them for a walk. Get some exercise. Like this last weekend, I was just talking to someone earlier, but we had fireworks all weekend. So we picked up their dogs, took them for a walk, got their energy out, try to give them a great day so that when they came home, they relaxed, they're not so anxious, and they hopefully slept a little bit better through the crazy fireworks that we had all weekend. But the biggest thing that we are doing, and anybody in here, is we are looking for partners. So assisted living, elderly care is another big one that we're working on. Because if they don't have transportation, how do they get their dogs there? If they're getting to an age where it's harder for them to bend over or pick up, or the dog just got out of surgery, we want to try to fill in that gap and make it as easy and simple for them as possible too. Now, for contractors and becoming a driver, this is going to be one thing that's going to really help us, and really why we came here today, is we are going to start looking for drivers. And the more drivers that we get, this is going to be the best way for us to accommodate anybody in the Springfield area as we start growing. We were recently, published in Springfield Business Journal, KSMU, and we're working with KY3, but the more exposure we get, I think the more drivers we're going to need, especially as this becomes like the face of Springfield for dog transportation. But I think also another great thing would be for us to eventually, hopefully, get into a bigger market where it might go from dogs to dogs, cats, birds, where it might just be all around pet service. So biggest thing right now, we do recruiting. We have our website. You can go onto our website, PupTaxi.com. Go on there. You'll have a driver's page. They can fill out all their information. They'll tell you about our 1099 contract, pay, how everything works, how we pay them, make sure that they're insured, everything that they need. We'll do a full background check, and then we will personally train. So we'll make sure that we train them on not just driving, but handling the dogs, our expectations on when they arrive at the appointments, when they get there, and how they get back. Now, a few different revenues right now. Our biggest thing we're doing is just marketing, social media, and then looking for partnerships right now is the biggest thing that's going to allow us to grow as a company. I'm actually going to skip that one. And that one too. Well, actually, we'll do this one last and then I'll wrap it up. Then we'll go to some questions and answers. So for anybody that actually wants to do any business with us, you go to our website and we've made it very simple. You go to book a ride, there'll be a calculator on there that will give you your rough estimate of what you're gonna pay. It'll actually calculate it all, tell you what you'll pay. You put your card on there, upload it, it'll go straight to our system. We'll get an alert, I'll send it to our app, to our drivers, and then you guys will know right away when that driver's there, that your ride is booked, and that you're confirmed. So if you ever want to do business with us, go to PupTaxi.com and book a ride with us. And thank you again, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, good job. Thank you so much. We'll do the Q&A if you've not been here before. When you just raise your hand, I'll bring you the mic. You stand up, say who you're with and your name, and ask your question. You have the first question. I'll name Kim. Okay, I'll let Kim start, and then whoever next, I will go ahead. All right.
Why didn't make me first, but something you said really struck me.
Yes.
When you were talking about, the elderlies, in their homes, and
Yeah.
they can't, all of these home care places, get your name in front of them, take them little puppy packs or something, because I think you could just almost start a business just by that right there.
No, and you are 100% right. So what we actually have is we have brochures and flyers. Anybody that wants them, I'll leave you with them. They're not business cards. They don't have any numbers on it. It just says everything that we do, everything that we offer. But the assisted living right now is huge for us because I feel like that is going to be a huge market. I went to one the other day and there's 3 ladies outside in the wheelchairs with the dogs, and 3 of us had the best little talk, but all 3 were like, we're booking a ride tomorrow, we need proving. Because again, it's hard, it's difficult for them. And my grandmother, she was in a wheelchair for 30 years, so for my whole life, and I was the grandson that, hey, dog needs to get to the groomers there, I was there. So thank you for that, but thank you.
Okay, so my name is Keith Wheeler. I'm with Commercial Real Estate Investment Group, which our meeting is tomorrow if anybody's wanting to join us there. My 2 questions, you were talking about it as this grows, expanding to Nixa and Ozark.
Yeah.
But I guess I would kind of say, have you considered maybe going to Branson? Because I would think that would be a good opportunity, because as people are going to Silver Dollar City, what are they doing with their dogs? And so then now, if you could meet them at their hotel, take them to the puppy daycare
Right.
stuff or whatever, and then bring it back after they're done, because everybody's frantically running around when they're on vacation and stuff, and a lot of people bring their dogs.
Right.
So that was one idea, and then the other one is I was looking it up, and there's a couple pet transportation companies in Springfield. How do you compare to them?
So I'll answer your first question. So first one, we definitely plan on expanding Branson, all these big areas. That's great. Reason why we haven't yet is drivers. So what I want to do is when we hire drivers, I want to have it where, let's just say me, for example, Drew covers Springfield, right? I have another driver that's going to be in Branson, and we're going to end up having a driver profile. So you're going to go to our website. There's going to be a driver profile. You're going to see my experience, how long I've been doing this, where I'm located. And the reason why we'll do this is so that way they're not paying for the mileage, and they're not paying extra because they have to pay me now to drive from Springfield to Branson to pick up their dog. So as we get more drivers, I'd love to have one that's based in Branson, Nixa, Republic, where that's like their home location. So then as we expand and start to grow, it's easier and more affordable for the customers. They're not gonna be spending a couple $100 just to have their dog come picked up because they have to pay for, the round trip and the gas and the whole fee. So as we do that, that is one thing that we'll do as we get more drivers too. And then the second part of that.
Other vendors in Springfield.
Yes, so there's a few other companies like Camp Bow Wow. So like they offer, I know transportation, but they do it for all pets. So the biggest thing that we did, like I said, is we did first only dog only transportation service. So we just strictly just transport dogs, and we don't allow the owners in there with them, and we just strictly just work with just the dogs. So that is kind of what separates us from all the rest of the competition, because again, Camp Bow Wow, they offer it as part of their business, so it's not necessarily that they'll do what we are doing, but we'll work with anybody, open 24/7, even if it's personal, if it's business, we will be there for them. So trying to give ourselves a little bit of a competitive advantage.
Hi, LaDonna Greiner with 21 Reasons to Say Thank You and Barnes Backgrounds and Byways Photography. Great presentation.
Thank you.
For coming. First question, have you protected your name? I love the name PupTaxi, but have you legally protected it? sir?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And how many drivers do you have right now?
Currently, right now, we have one, myself. And the reason why that is, again, we just launched 2 weeks ago. So we launched 2 weeks ago, we had our first 3 rides, and right now we're really just testing out any kind of errors, any kind of pain points, our little SWOT analysis, just kind of really figuring out anything that we can do to really narrow down. So as we grow and expand, we're fixing any problems, any errors that might come up. And then I'm kind of setting the way for training expectations, what is it going to be expected when I arrive at the owner's home. So just the whole process that we're building right now.
They have to have do your drivers have to have a certain type of car? Do you outfit them with what's needed?
So on our website, so actually it'll tell that. So on our website, if they want to become a driver, it'll tell them that they will use their own vehicle. So very similar to Uber. So they'll use their own vehicle, they'll set that up, and then that would be when they would become a driver. And like I said, almost just like the Uber style, where they can set up their cars kind of like I have, where it's padded, it's comfortable, where they can make it just as accessible and easy for the dogs as possible.
Hi, Lisa Spector with Mindfully Aware Health, and I think this is a wonderful service. I know sometimes it's hard to get my little dog to the groomer or wherever. And this would be a great service to use.
Yeah.
So, sometimes, how do you deal with dogs that are anxious, and how will you train your new drivers for that kind of situation?
So I love that. That's a very good question. So anxious dogs, depending on the dogs, and that's why I'm very big on getting to know the owners. The first time I come to pick up a dog, like the few rides I've done, is I want to go there, I want to meet the owner, but I want to meet the dog. So I want to get to know him, whether I take him for a walk, whether I'm very big on, I'm not just going to show up like, let's get in the car, hurry up, because again, that's going to make your dog anxious. So there's ways of us not just training on how to get the dog's energy down, but get them comfortable with you. And then kind of our techniques of how we get them in the car. We have a ramp. If they don't want to be picked up, we won't do that. And I have a way that I've actually kind of came up with a method of how to get them in the car. I have some dogs that just fight, that aren't like the other ones that don't want to just hop right in. Where I'll sit in the driver's seat, and what I'll do is I actually will feed the leash around, so that it almost feels like I'm already in the car. And when you sit down in the car, the dog actually gets a little bit more relaxed because they think, okay, well, he's safe. Now I want to get in with him. So I'll lead the leash around the car. I won't even have to pull. They'll actually will come down because they'll see them sitting in there. So there's different ways we can do that. I have some the other day that was super anxious, and if they're smaller, and they're more comfortable in a kennel. But again, the way the car's set up, they could sit right next to me. So it's just like, again, making them comfortable, working with them, and then I hope that in the future, my biggest thing is if they are nervous, they're gonna be used to it. By the second time I come, that they'll recognize me and then be a little bit more comfortable as they get to know me and our future drivers. So.
Andrew Tim Freeman, Missouri 1 Million Cups. Great presentation. Thanks for coming in. I met you when you first came in the first time with the idea. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit beforehand, and there's a lot of minds in this room that may be able to help on this.
Yeah.
So you spoke to the fact that you've been to some vets and you've been to some other places trying to get this thing networked out and get it going.
Yeah.
Let us know what kind of feedback you've gotten from those people, maybe what kind of barriers you've had, what they said. Maybe that'll help us give you some feedback that way.
Yeah, no, thank you. Honestly, my favorite feedback that I've been getting is, man, why didn't I think of this? I get that a lot, and I think that's probably the most reassuring thing that you could have when you start a business, right? Because that means that whatever I was doing is we're all looking at each other, and I was like, okay, well, I was solving a problem. Again, as a business owner, when I walk into a lot of these businesses, it's now just, how can we help you? How can we better your business? The vet's offices, the groomers. Well, guess what? Someone calls and says, man, I'm so sorry, my car broke down, I'm not gonna be able to make it today. Well, now you have an option. You can call PupTaxi, excuse me. But it was giving them an option that they didn't even have before. Because before it'd be easy for someone to just call, hey, I can't make it in because car broke down. Well, guess what? Now that also is gonna help their business because now they actually have an alternative to help, that client get their dog there, or, make sure that they can't pick them up from boarding because their flight got canceled, and they have to redo it. Well, now they can reassure that, well, I can come and make sure that your dog gets home that night, and if you have someone at home or away from me to drop them off, I can make sure that happens. So it's just, again, figuring out a problem and coming up with a solution for it right now, I think is the biggest thing with these businesses and as we partner with them. But I am really excited because I haven't really gotten too much negative feedback besides, how does it work? For vets, that's the biggest one, because for vets, they want to see the owners because, again, vets are, I'm going to say it very honestly, they're salesmen too. And when you go there, not that they're just want to sell you, they want to take care of your dog, but they're going to try to sell you on flea medicine and try to get you to get more stuff. So for them, it was just figuring out a way that we can make it transparent and easy for them, where we're not taking away from their business. If anything, helping them, where we would talk to the owners and know exactly what they need before we went there to make sure that the dog is getting everything they need, but they're also not getting anything extra without them being aware of it beforehand. So they're not paying extra money. So it kind of helps both parties.
Dustin Farrell with Value Group Real Estate and living in the Ozarks. My question is, what does a split, or do you have that kind of planned out, what that looks like for the drivers? And then how are they gonna find you?
It like split, like as far as pay.
Yeah,
So the drivers will get completely paid based, so it's like an 80-20 split. So the drivers will get 80%, 20% will go back to us. And then another thing that I guess I could have also probably mentioned in the presentation, 25% of everything we make goes back to our non-for-profit Canines for Camos. So we actually will give that money back to Canines for Camos, and they use that to train service dogs for veterans. So for our drivers, that 80-20%, they'll get 80% of everything from the base fee, and then they get 100% of their tips. So any tips that they make, they get 100% of that as well.
Good morning, I'm David Sims, the David Sims Company. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Interesting, always interesting to see people starting new businesses. In life, the hardest sale to make is the first one. So if you're bringing people on board as customers, what are your plans on selling them additional products or services once you get them on board? Because the more sales you make, the easier it gets, and they can buy from you when they don't have to go to a store or anything like that. Do you have any plans in the future for that?
Yes, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing for us to do is repeat business. It's almost like a way that we can scale this in a way where, again, I'm coming up with different add-ons every day. Whether it's, I'm going to start delivering and I'll pick up medications for them, go to their vet's office, so they don't have to worry about doing that. Doing dog walks, doing anything that involves a dog or a service, we can do now. Not only that, but we have the transportation, we have the means for it. And we partner with Halliday and Pet Resort, which they do boarding and daycare. We have a grooming company, Dapperdoodle, that we've partnered with. So I think the biggest thing for us to scale would be repeat business, especially like the vet's offices that we do business with, or the groomers that I know people that groom their dogs once a month, and having those people where we almost have it booked up in a system where every month it's reoccurring. So for the drivers, they know every month that they're going to pick up Susie's dog on the 8th to go to their grooming appointment, and then working with them to figure out ways to, again, add on, whether they want us to take them out for a special day, take them for a dog walk, do pictures. We've thought about just like interactive videos for social media so they could share on there too. So always trying to come up with new ways to have different add-on services, or just different products that we might offer too, which we might expand and start offering merchandise. We start offering, the leash prototype that I'm in the works of, that makes it a little bit more safer and easier for pet owners to, if they just want to take their dogs themselves, that makes it easier for them, that we might end up selling in the future too. So trying to think of creative ways to always stay relevant.
Sure. Good morning.
Good
Coleman
morning.
Horsley with Deliver Digital, a website agency, getting people found on Google.
Yeah.
So I noticed on your website, you don't have a phone number. And my question is, if I have a 1 a.m. emergency, my dog eats something, I can't leave because my daughter is sleeping. How do I contact you, and how do I know that you're going to actually see my contact?
So the book a ride section on the website, so the minute you go and book your ride, you'd put in there, hey, you'd put leave a note, hey, this is emergency, we need it at 1 in the morning. So those alerts get sent straight to us through email, And then we actually have our automation and our agent on the back end that actually has our numbers and phone numbers for emergencies. So we have it so it will, not only will we get an email and an alert sent to us, but our agent will actually notify us and then they will call us and let us know like, hey, you just got booked, but this one is for an emergency. Again, it's 1 a.m. And that's kind of where, as I'm the only driver, it might be a little difficult as I start off, but making myself available, I think is going to be big. And as we have drivers on their driver profile, I want to have it where not only they work 24/7, but they also specialize in taking care of emergency visits. Or, hey, between 12 and 4 p.m., if you need a driver, you call Susie because she's gonna be ready, she's gonna be awake. Then you would have her driver profile. You would just call her directly, and that's kind of where I'd like to get to. But for right now, it would just be book that ride. My agent calls me, or we would just do business that way. And the reason we didn't put a phone number again is because we put a phone number out there, it might not just be me, in the future, that's the only one getting called. So we wanted to have it where it's just a very easy working flow system. Thank you.
Hello, Jacob Otto with Health Up Clinic and Upgrade Imaging. It was mentioned earlier about trying to partner with veterinarians and grooming and stuff like that. When I was getting my dog groomed, they'd always make me pay for like half a day before, have each dog going to groomers and saying, hey, instead of this, offer my service out of the package so that they're selling it for you instead of you trying to reach all the end users.
Right. No, actually, that is something like Dapper Doodle, one of the businesses that we partnered with, Holiday Inn, that is something that we're essentially trying to have. So like it's like almost to the point where I was showing like the memberships and the packages, where if you go to Holiday Inn, you'll get grooming, transportation, a fun photo and video of the ride where, like you said, it's almost more like a complete package deal than just, a base price and, charging by the mileage, where my biggest thing is creating experience, right? Create something that they're going to remember, that they want to share, they want to tell their friends, they want to tell their families. And it's not, again, just a simple pickup, drop off where we can create a good business model just for us and the businesses that we work with too.
Barry Lewis, Health Markets Insurance. A couple things that were mentioned, like, you mentioned over there about extra services.
Yeah.
You also mentioned you go to nursing homes, assisted living and people with broken down cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes dogs just want to go for a ride. Have you had that as like an extra service on there? Like,
Yes.
hey, I'll take your dog for a 30-minute car ride.
I did it. So this last weekend for 4th of July, if you go on my social media, that's exactly what we did. For an hour, I charged them $25 flat. I'll come pick up your dog. I took him to the park. We went and got pup cups. And I took pictures with him, and then I brought him back home. But it was just a flat. I just charged them $25. I did like 4 rides. But the reason why I did that is because I just thought that it would be something like you said, where they just want to get their dog out of the house. Or like me, I have friends and family over, and I don't want to hear my dog barking. I have to put him in the crate. Well, call me. I'll come pick him up for a couple hours while you have friends and family over. Get your dogs out of your hair for a little while, and then bring them back when you're done.
Hi, I'm Dana with Inspired Whole Health. Have you considered partnering with people who service people who are having surgeries, for example, because they're in a 6-week period where a dog pulling on a leash might be a little bit more challenging? Also, have you considered connecting with places like Rover, where you're dealing with other dog sitters who maybe have 5 dogs that they're dog sitting at the same time, and they need an emergency?
That's a great question. I think that'd be something definitely that we're looking into, especially what you said at the very beginning was, helping people that just got done with surgery, they can't do it, that we're able to. I think having that as a service or more of like a private service, I think is really how I'm wanting to take that is instead of having like our base fare and base price that we might charge, something like that would be, hey, email me, tell me what your needs are, and I'm going to work with you to make sure that we help you. That we can find a driver that can accommodate to whatever needs that they might need. And if we can, then we'll figure out a solution. Because I do think that will be a very big way for us to help hospitals to, where I can go to Mercy and Cox and, talk to them and say, hey, somebody's in the hospital for the next 2 months if their dog needs, boarding, if they need to go to daycare, if they just need us to go check on them. Like you said, if they just want us to check on them and go take them out for the day to make sure that they're healthy and that they're doing okay, that would be something we definitely would like to move into.
Over here. Thanks for a great presentation, John.
Thank you.
What can we as a community help you do to become better?
Man, biggest thing I can ask for, I say it all the time, but the one thing we cannot, spend enough money on and get out is just word of mouth. And just, spreading the word, telling people, if you know anybody that has a dog, you're a dog lover, go on our social media, share our posts, just let people know who we are. Again, I feel like you have to build that trust when you're first starting off, especially because we all love our dogs and they're kind of like pets. So the more trust that we build, they're going to take your word probably over mine and my marketing. So just spreading the word and just, word of mouth and letting everybody know that we're here and if they need anything, we'll take care of it.
Thank you for a great presentation.